Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Well, hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sam, and my little co-host, Eisen, is kind of wandering around, probably finding ways to, just get something to eat. I'm pretty sure if he had opposable thumbs, he would probably be opening up every single thing that just smelled like food. But thank God he does not, because he would rule the world then. But let's talk about something that really just kind of struck me the other day, and that was goats. Goats as pets, and specifically. And, I mean, a lot of people are inspired, well, they were inspired by this video game, an indie game, that really just made it seem very appealing, like having farm animals and starting your own farm. It's not Farmville, by the way, nothing like Farmville. But it does got people thinking, well, do I want that kind of lifestyle? And, well, I gotta say, we really need to talk about that, because my husband and I were kind of in the same boat, but we just weren't really sure where to start. And, of course, that takes research. So, we really need to have a real talk about goats, and possibly about becoming farmers. We might get to that, but gotta keep that in mind. And of course, we'll talk about, how great goats are, but how also PETA really does like goats, but they're very PETA. So, of course, we're gonna talk about, ideal goat breeds and goat's milk and what you can make out of it. Oh my gosh, it's so fantastic. And then we're going to close with Rainn Wilson from The Office, and his little fundraiser that he did just recently. But, well, let's get started. Now, I wanted to make sure, everyone is familiar with the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. Well, I hate to break it to you, to a good amount of people, probably farming is not really for you, because it has a lot of work. There's actually a lot of money that has to go into this. And, well, honestly, if you don't mind the smell, I guess it's okay. But overall, there are a lot of people who played a certain farming game, not Farmville, and they got a very idealized perspective of farming and taking care of livestock. And I really just wanted to go through that topic, because, well, I guess, as I said, we need to have a real talk about this, because it's not just going to be, gotta water, gotta, use my hoe to be able to start planting more seeds, and just, it's a lot more work than that. There's going to be a lot of sad people if they try to go and have the expectation of this game. Surely they don't have that expectation, but they probably have this romanticized view of what farming is, as I said. Now, one of the things that you really have to consider, and this is something that my husband and I were considering for a period of time, what city ordinances, what do they say about having livestock, basically, or having just a goat of some kind of breed. And, well, we learned that the general area that we live in is perfectly not okay with goats, or more of like a four-legged, hooved animals. So that says no horses, no cow, and definitely no goats. So you have to look into what your specific city ordinance is before you even jump into that, because you don't want to see what happens when the cops come around or something. I've never seen that happen, but yeah. Now for us, we're not really sure what applies to us in our specific area because it's kind of separate, but inside of the greater part of our city. So we were thinking about, hey, maybe some chickens and maybe a goat, but we're just going to play it by ear and just see what happens in the future. And well, then there's this other thing that kind of goes into, well, I can have a goat as a pet. City ordinances don't say I can't. Well, then you have to think about the noise, because goats are really noisy. And sure, you might have a neighbor that has their television up to like 100 while they're just outside walking around. Like, there are some people that are really big noisemakers. But the problem with that is that when you talk to your neighbor about it, well, they'll probably be upset that you're calling them out on this, but, they'll actually stop. Now, the problem with goats and how noisy they are, well, it's just, you can't make them stop. Unless, I don't know the research on how trainable goats are, but I just kind of see it as a problem. And then, whereas with your neighbor, they have the fear of police to come and cause some conflict, I guess. These goats could just be taken away from you. So you have to consider that too. But also, because of city ordinances again, they might just allow a certain amount of hooved animals, but maybe not a lot, because just kind of thinking about just how herd-minded these goats are. Like, they need to have buddies. Like, you see goats in like a big collection of other goats. Same thing with like sheep, herding over and just kind of being a part of something. And I totally get that, but that also means you have more noise and less space in your backyard, and more opportunities for the police to come by and try to find a way to find you or something along those lines. Now, the other thing, because this also leads back to, well, law enforcement will probably come and get involved. Like, ghosts are actually real escape artists. And even for your fences, like, they can find ways to just force themselves through, like, a hole that you wouldn't be able to fit in. Like, they can do that. So, I mean, it's kind of a real problem for goat owners, I guess. I could say that. And, well, I mean, there's also this other thing, and it's gonna be such a weird thing to say, but goats are actually quite picky on what they eat and how they eat it, what's around where they eat, because, well, in the past, at least in cartoons for kids, the goat is always depicted as something that'll eat whatever. It didn't matter. So that's just kind of something that rocked my world, to be honest. And it really makes me consider, okay, I know people who have had goats. I don't know where they live, though. And I think that's a huge thing. You can't force the city ordinance to disappear. So you may as well just move out of that county, I would suspect. And hey, that's going to be your own adventure, right? I mean, if you really want those goats, you really want to live the farm life, absolutely you can do that. I mean, I remember that we were talking about that a lot, and for a period of time that really was appealing to me because, well, I don't like being in crowded places, and I don't know, I feel like I'd be more in control of things if I had, like, all that space. Like, just kind of the freedom of just being out there and just having a routine that keeps my body and my mind busy. There are probably other ways that I could do that, but, I was probably slightly caught into this romanticized view of farming. So the game was really good, I have to say. So I'm having to work backward and just kind of think, okay, here's the reality of owning a farm. Here's the reality of taking care of livestock. And also another thing, did you not notice, like, maybe the smell or just honestly, the smell? I'm okay with hard work. I need exercise anyway. And to be honest, I could probably just hide out, in, I don't know, large acres of land and be perfectly happy. And I would go to the city occasionally. Because again, I don't really like being near people. So it's kind of a bummer that we're not going to be pursuing the goats thing anytime soon. But, yeah, these are a lot of things that you really should be considering because I'm going to say this. I feel like I say this every single episode. It is not all about you. It's also about your neighbors. It's also about the animals that you're going to be taking care of. And also your other animals too in the house. Like, there's going to be so much adjusting, and sometimes people can't adjust well. And sometimes neighbors aren't really willing to be forgiving about it. I mean, honestly, this makes me think, I've referenced King of the Hill before, but there was an episode where Hank Hill basically stole a cow and I think some other animals. And Hank Hill is a good man. He wanted to make sure that he could have just cage-free, free-roaming animals that are taken very well care of, and then being able to eat the cow or chicken or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of like this push for more natural eating, removing all the antibiotics or what else do they do to them? Oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff that they do to farm animals, especially when, they're primarily to be produced as food. So I'd say the problem with Hank's situation is very similar to ours, actually. And it's that, well, if we wanted more animals, that requires a lot more work. I just don't see it happening. And it didn't work for Hank because, well, his neighbor had actually called the cops on him because, well, there's a zoo, like, right next door to me. So, again, so many things to consider. I doubt that you'll have, like, a con supernussophone in your neighborhood. Hopefully not. But if you do, well, I think it's best if you set those dreams to be on the back burner for now. And then in the future, you can reflect on it again. But you know what? It is time for a break, and I figured that we will be talking about, well, what are the positive things about having goats as pets? And I mean, this past segment was all about, well, these are kind of the cons, but let's kind of like move on to something that's more positive, because goats are very cute. You've seen those videos of, the little kids like running up and down, jumping, and just, it's so cute. But we're going to go on a commercial break, and We will be back in a moment.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back, and, well, we were talking about why maybe having a pet goat or just a goat for farming is maybe not the best idea for some people. Hey, it could be a good idea for some, but I can think of a few that don't really need to be farmers. But there are some good things, and they're kind of like mixed together with the bad stuff in a way. For instance, we were talking about just the amount of land that you would have to keep your goats happy. And our little backyard would not keep goats happy. Like, I just don't see it happening. But yeah, for those of you that can get acres of land for yourself and just kind of be away from people for a period of time, and I'm mostly talking from my own perspective, like, hey, I would be able to be on my own land, and I'd be just finding ways to keep myself busy and, just mentally and physically. And it just would feel like mine, if that makes any sense. And even in addition to that, like, just the things you have to do, all of this is hard work. But, I mean, when I was younger, I was actually helping my dad put a fence around our backyard. And when we finished, it felt really, really good. And I guess this might be just prose for me. I'm gonna be honest. But hey, maybe this will appeal to some of you guys. But yeah, for fencing in particular, especially when you have a farm or just livestock all over the place, well, you're gonna have to have some protection from, like, predators. So that's a huge thing. Now, if you do have an idea of, like, what size of animal you can have, well, that might give you some advantages when it comes to like zoning regulations. So, hey, maybe you have, I don't know, like a ram, like a black ram that just kind of haunts your house. It might be too big, or you might need to move somewhere else. But yeah, you can actually own more goats per acre than cows in some areas. So you might have an area that'll say, okay, you can have a cow or a bull, but sometimes in that very same area, you could probably have maybe 7 goats there. But again, it's really kind of a measure of what you want. And right now I'm seeing it as like, I can do this. And again, return to, man, this game has influenced me, and I'm not sure if it's a negative way, but it's really setting up some expectations that I don't think will actually be. But, actually going into their size a little bit more, their size actually can make things more manageable. Like, you don't want to get a giant goat. You might get one of these smaller ones, and I'll give you some examples of smaller goats that, you could possibly have. But, I mean, kids can feed these animals quite easily. Like, think of the petting zoo that maybe you've taken your kids to, maybe you've gone to in the past. I'll be honest, my mom never let me get near those things because she didn't want them to bite me, which I guess, okay, helicopter mom. But hey, we've really just only talked about goats as farm animals, which there needs to be a distinction there, I feel like. But yeah, what about goats as pets? And, that is the focus of this episode. But, I mean, you see videos on TikTok or just on Facebook or any other form of social media. There's a lot of ways to spread the joy of goats. But yeah, have you seen those videos? They're so cute. They like to prance around and they're so photogenic, which is a weird thing to say. But, I mean, when time comes for you to actually let your goat go around into the yard or, your big yard, they can actually be extremely helpful when it comes to kind of like mowing down grass. And again, they won't eat, just about anything. They'll basically eat anything that grows. So any flowers, any vegetables in your garden or fruits that you might be growing, those are in danger. But for the most part, for land, it's basically, they just gobble everything up pretty much. And again, this goes so contrary to what has been like told to the little kids. And it was something that I kind of learned or kind of understood. Like, for me, it was like, goats can't eat tin cans. What in the world? But please, yes, do show me the goat that is basically trimming single-handedly an acre of land. But hey, I don't know any better. It could be that, I don't even know what it could be. It could just be me being so in love with the idea of having goats. But again, it's back to, well, what are the ordinances? What will my neighbors say? Because, well, those things do matter, unfortunately. But I do have to say that when it comes to the noise level, that could also be something that's kind of peaceful. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like a cat that just kind of hangs around you and purrs really loudly and meows at you, because they want stuff. And I'm not saying that cats and goats are the same thing, but there are ways to communicate with each other. And it doesn't have to be like, stomp twice if you think I should do this. No, it's mostly like just observation of body language. But also, based on what I've read, they are actually quite kind and not aggressive animals altogether, and that makes a really good pet, I have to say. But you also have to kind of manage the madness that comes along with that. And some people thrive on that. I mean, if I had a bigger place, bigger yard, hey, I'd probably have one, to be honest. Because, well, I also like to get products that have goat milk in them, so why not mix them for my own? But yeah, just, I don't know, think of Babe, Pig in the City. I mentioned that in a previous episode, but hey, we have piglets that are pets, and then you also, for example, have Rainn Wilson, who we'll talk about in a bit. He has, I think, 2 potbelly pigs that he rescued. So, I mean, you could definitely say that potbelly pigs are much bigger than goats. So I kind of think it's a fair shot to try to take care of goats. But again, maybe, you can find someone, or go to a petting zoo, I don't know. But, talk to someone who owns a goat and see what more they have to say about, what is so great about having a goat in their family, or just having a goat for the farm in general. So I think that we should start off with a break now, and we are going to be talking about, well, one of my least favorite things, and also one of the most interesting things, I have to say, the 13 reasons to never drink goat's milk. And I have to say, I have never had goat's milk, but I have had goat cheese, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. I'll be definitely looking at an article for you guys, because it's so against what people think about as, for goats and goat milk. And they always kind of paint a very antagonistic view of people who don't have that close of a following to them as normal for them. But again, we are going to take a quick break, and, well, then we'll talk about PETA. Alright, back in a moment.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
We are back, and we were talking about the positives of having a goat as a pet, or maybe even as a farm animal. And we're going to take a sharp turn, and we're going to talk about a group that is very focused, like really, really focused on animal rights, and almost to the point of being antagonistic. But I want to approach this in a way that is maybe as a reaction to what they have to say. So I might quote some things from this article. You can also find it on their website too, if you wanted to look into it even more. But let's get to talking about this. Now, again, you can go to PETA.org, and they have a ton of articles. I've read a few of them. I'm not against... I love animals for one thing, but I'm not against the idea of veganism. Like, that is a great choice for some people. It really shows some character for them, and also just their devotion to animals in general. But I don't know. I just kind of eat whatever I think tastes good. So I know that sounds horrible to PETA, but I'm sorry. But let's see. One of the first things that they talk about is that we aren't meant to drink it. And they specifically use the word steal from the mother animals. So I don't really know what to say about that. I don't know, like, the detriments of not milking a cow, for instance. I know that it's bad, but, what are we supposed to do with the extra milk, I guess? Because I feel like I'm not really in the space to really talk about that. I just kind of see that, to some perspectives it could be stealing, but, well, what else happens with the milk, honestly? And again, humans don't need to have milk. We're actually the only species that actually drinks other people's milk, or other animals' milk. So it's a very hot topic, and I would love to see, like, I want to hear some perspectives on just the idea of, like, oh, we're not supposed to drink milk. Why? And the why of it. But there's also, gosh, they keep on going on. Like, their number 2 is basically the same as number 1. Is we don't really need it. So, I mean, there's also them talking against goat's milk in particular. This article is goat's milk specific. But it also says that, well, it's not better for you. It's not better than cow's milk, for instance. And, I can actually agree to that. And well, they drop almond milk into it, and I love almond milk. For a period of time, I was always drinking almond milk because it just tasted better for a period of time. My taste just changed, though. And, oh my gosh, goat's milk can cause weight gain like every other thing that you eat. So, or drink. So I really think that, that's not a very good case there. And they suggest that maybe you're intolerant of the milk, so you might be suffering some really bad symptoms of bloating and vomiting, cramps, gas, maybe some indigestion too. So, and oh my gosh, I'm trying to stay calm about this because there are reasons why people are so, I guess maybe the word is obstinate. Because, well, over here, it's basically listing all the problems of most things, like in these particular numbers. So, it's not good for you. It causes weight gain. You might be intolerant to it. You might actually be allergic to it. Oh my gosh. Well, I know plenty of people who have peanut allergies, or just nut allergies in general. I know that there are some people that are allergic to cauliflower. There are so many things that you have to substitute so that you can survive, basically. And I think that they're just kind of tunnel visioning into this entire thing. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to do the not all milk thing, but it's important to realize that the problems that are going on with goat's milk or almond milk or even cow's milk, like those kind of come to an individual basis. And I have to say, they're not hurting the animals whenever they're, quote unquote, stealing the milk. Because, goats don't want you to take their milk. That is their point 7. What do they have to say about that? Goats are social animals who wag their tails like dogs and form strong bonds with each other. The dairy industry tears goat families apart, separating mothers and babies. And that's all they say. Oh my gosh. I have so many problems with that right now. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of pathos that they're trying to get to dig into people, but it seems so dramatic. Just say that the dairy industry makes kids cry. So selling their milk goats, who are considered byproducts by the dairy industry, that don't produce milk. So they're, I love this. Quote unquote, to people so they could be killed for Easter dinner. These are some very strong words that they're using. Very strong diction here. And again, it kind of feels over the top. I would say, I was told by my graduate professor a few years ago that if you're not a jerk about something that you're really passionate about, then maybe you should reevaluate it. And I can see them. You see the people in PETA, they're kind of being jerks about this, but they have that passion, and you have to, at least give them that and try to have some understanding. And let's see, what else? Goats want to live. Yes, they're not killing the goats though, because all goats should be free to play. Like all humans, all animals in general, there's nothing that really distinguishes all these creatures aside from, what kind of species they are. And I get the major point here. It's like, goat's milk is bad for you, or you shouldn't have goat's milk. Therefore, not a therefore, more of like, in addition to that, you should probably not eat any meat or any, drink any milk from it or any other product. I imagine that a lot of, people in PETA are kind of against the idea of, like, having these mammoth bones for treats for dogs. And, I mean, where do you get that mammoth bone? Well, from another animal. And, it's frustrating because I want to understand them. And I understand where they're coming from, for the most part. But, again, just how it's being communicated is very difficult to swallow. And I don't want to police anyone when it comes to things that they're passionate about. It's just, there's a reason why people make fun of PETA. It's just a reality. And it's mostly because of this language that they use. And I'm a language teacher. English language teacher. I can go on all day about audience and tone, voice, all that kind of stuff. But I just, PETA, do better. You know, the really funny thing, their last point. They just want to be goats. So, in addition to that number 12 point, they have like a video of a goat's new life at a farm sanctuary. So, that's really interesting. Hey, they promised me 13 points. I only got 12. Maybe their next point was, go and pledge to be vegan. So, what you can do, ditch all dairy products and try going vegan for 30 days. Check out these healthy, easily absorbed vegan sources of calcium. There's some people that can't have that diet. So, should we... I'm sorry, I feel like I'm starting to get into a fight with PETA, honestly. I just don't know. It's ridiculous. I can't handle it. You know what? I need to back away from PETA. It's upsetting me sometimes. And if you want to learn more about this, about PETA, you can go to their website. You can form your own opinions on it. This is just how the messaging is coming to me. But anyway, yes, I like goat milk more in the form of goat cheese. And I'm sorry, PETA. I really like them. But now we're going to move on to our next point here. And, well, this is me kind of being mean to PETA. We're going to talk about what breeds are best for being a pet goat. So, we'll be back from our commercial break.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then, the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news.
Guess what? We're back. And we were just talking about PETA and how they don't want people to drink goat's milk. And I'm going to stop there because I don't want to talk about PETA anymore. But I did find a nice list of goat breeds that will make great pets. And I want to start off with the first one, and it's called the pygmy goat. And it's very gentle and kind in demeanor, and apparently you can find those at petting zoos for kids. So, I just want to say, Mom, why did you keep me away from the kindest kind of goat? That's kind of messed up. But yeah, they love hugs, and they love human contact. Just, they're nice smaller size for people that do have, like, maybe young kids. They weigh up to like 50 to 60 pounds, but hey, Regina is like 60 pounds, and while she has still a ton of puppy energy, I mean, she is very easy to get along with, and I just, thinking about the size-wise, I don't really see a problem in it. I mean, maybe goats smell funny, but they're small, friendly, docile, and they just love people, and that kind of makes this person's, like, top list. And the next one is going to be a Nigerian dwarf goat. So it's another small breed of goat that is fantastic for being a family pet. And, well, it's pretty popular for homesteaders, apparently, because of their milk production. They have similar features as the pygmy. Stature, bellies, but their ears and noses are a bit shorter in comparison to that. So that seems pretty interesting. Where are some pictures here? Aha! Hello, picture. They're quite nice looking. But yeah, they're a little bit more rounded than pygmy goat. Now, the next one we're going to talk about, their number 3, is the Boer goats. So they're mainly known for their meat. So I just don't understand why they put it on the list here then. Let's see, a stocky goat that is more wide than tall. It is smaller than the taller breeds that are coming up next. Wide build. Let's see. I just don't understand why you would. I just don't know. How big do you get? So they apparently can see, whoa, full grown, you can expect to see 200 or more pounds. So keep this in mind. So they're big boys. So beware of the Boer goat. Because if you're not ready to, to take care of it or handle it, well, you have been warned. Now, we also do now have the alpine goats, number 4. And mainly known for milk production. So if you do really want to have a goat that really produces milk for you, fantastic. This is a goat for you. But they're also cute. Why would you do that? But, this goat is actually really easy to train. They do very well on the stand and will be more patient with a new milker than some of the other dairy breeds. So, a very cordial, I would say. They have like mothering tendencies too, which sounds kind of sweet. Kind of like how pit bulls are known as like the nanny dog, for instance. But gosh, let's see. Another thing I love about the Alpine is their mothering tendencies, always loving and patient with their kids. Our Alpines are great and dependable mothers, which just further proves their friendly nature. And there's no mention of it being like a source of meat. So, okay, I can accept that. And, well, milk production, I know that if a goat is not milked, or a cow, for instance, then there's going to be some problems there. So, it is a really big goat, though. So, not as big as the Boer, but it's like 135 pounds to 160 at full growth. And I'm just like, whoa, these guys are so cute as a small one, though. I want to just stare at it right now and just think about all the cute goat videos with them dancing around in pajamas. Have you guys seen the pajama ones? Oh, they're fantastic. I love it. But we're going to move on to the next goat, the La Mancha goat. And very well known for their dairy. So can produce milk, and then actually you will be able to fill your fridge full of that delicious milk. So I see no problem in these goats except for their size. But let's see, La Mancha. Oh, another one that is also very well known for their dairy. But here's some good news. This goat is actually known for being like the quiet breed. And if you want to have a goat in your backyard and you have plenty of room, these city ordinances do not stop you from it, well, your neighbors won't be very upset with the noise level because there's really no noise. And actually, the really funny thing about this goat is that looks like it doesn't have any ears. It's just kind of like pressed all the way back, so you can't really see them. And then you combine that with a really long nose. It just seems like a, gosh, what would it seem like? Let me see the picture, because I love me some pictures. Ooh, okay. So, it's an interesting looking fella. But, it's back to like the specifics. It's about as tall as an alpine. And it's actually very patient, in comparison to like other goats. Like, especially if you're just learning how to milk. So, I mean, very good addition to the list, to be honest. And I just kind of wanted to see more because, the kinder goats, or the kinder goats. I think kinder. Yeah. Because of kindergarten, kinder. So, they are a cross between the pygmy and a Nubian goat. So, it's great for milk. It's small in size, and it would be a great fit for the family, actually. So, they look like they have a little more meat on them, and that suggests that they can be eaten, or we could drink their milk. But I don't know why this person mentioned it in this article, because, well, we want pets. We don't want to think about eating our pets. But I mean, what was that guy's name? The Scottish man in Babe, where he couldn't kill Babe because he had grown kind of attached to him. Well, I guess, for me, I feel that way. Like, if I'm gonna have a pet and do that, I would pretty much feel completely awful. Or there would be something clearly wrong with me that I would make that decision. But, yeah, there's a problem with it, though. And, actually, I don't know why this person included it in their list, because, well, they're talking about how their ability to be loud and, like, really getting them upset is kind of it is a con of it. Like, it doesn't have that docile nature of the pygmy goat. So you kind of run into that possibility. So I wouldn't really say go for this goat, but I'd say be aware of it if you wanted to go into farming and producing milk for profit. But yeah, they're medium size, 110 to 130 pounds, so they weigh lighter than me, of course. But they are pretty goats, and you really have to not think about cuteness when it comes to, like, adopting or owning a pet goat. So just think about, again, well, what works best for you and your family, what works best for your potential goat pet. And again, it's not always about you. You might say, oh my gosh, I really like this kinder goat. Well, it's a mean goat. So why would a small family work well with that? That is my question. So again, it's like, there's a lot of thought process into it, and you need to make sure that you do your research and just try to be more aware of the needs of your goats, of your kids too, of your friends. Because honestly, these things could be a really big deal. Like, things have really changed with us since we've gotten Regina, because she's a big girl. And, well, she likes to hop up a lot, and she plays very hard. So our social life, when it comes to people coming over to our house, is very different now. But anyway, sorry about that. We are going to move on to our next commercial break, and then we're going to be talking about, well, what can you do with goat's milk? All right, we'll be right back.
the Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back again. And we were just talking about just the best goats for your family to have, like the best breeds to have. And well, I figured because we do use a lot of goat milk in society, I kind of wanted to talk about, well, what can you do with goat's milk? Because I'll be honest, when I was on my own, and I worked at this place that, where the paralegal was actually a homesteader, and she actually came in one day and shared, like, to everyone in the office, like, a bar, individual bars of soap that is made out of goat milk. And I didn't really think much of it at the time, but my hands felt so wonderful after using it for the first time. And it was lavender scented, and then I, had a foot and mouth kind of situation where I guess I forgot that my mother-in-law was I didn't have a sense of smell, so the lavender didn't really matter to her. But yeah, there are so many things that you can do with goat milk now, and it's more people know about it. It's not really, I would say it's novelty, but not as novelty as it could be. Because, well, there are a lot more people that are taking on owning a goat and trying to produce just all kinds of things that will be useful. So, a few episodes ago, I was talking about some goat's milk that I tried to give Eisen. And I think it was too much dairy for him. That's why he was throwing up for a period of time, like just throwing up the milk. So I gave it to Regina. She loved it. Fantastic. That was probably my second experience with goat's milk. I can't remember the first, but I do think there was the beginning of that. But, I mean, there are so many things. Like, you can go to Etsy.com and you can actually see all kinds of products that are made out of goat's milk. So, honestly, there's a lot of soap. Because, well, it's pretty good soap. But let's see, we have like foot cream, foot lotion, peppermint something. I'm not clicking on anything because you kind of go down a rabbit hole after a period of time of just looking at stuff. So I'm refraining. But let's see. Moisturizing, goat cream. What else? I feel like there's more to this. Of course you have goat cheese, which I absolutely love goat cheese. Shampoo and conditioner? Wow. Okay guys, you definitely need to start checking this stuff out because they have face cream. Okay, I need to get away from this website. But yeah, just a lot of things a lot of personal hygiene stuff that you can use goat milk for. And it's pretty impressive to see how people have started doing this almost on the regular, like, just, they make it look so easy, I guess. But lotions, body butters, probably going to look at that in the future when I'm not making an episode. But I'm trying to think, goat's milk can definitely be lotions and, bath soaks. Oh my gosh. Oh, and they can make loofahs out of them too. Man, oh man. Okay, I need to stay away from this site or else I am going to be broke. So, they're good for eczema. If you have eczema, I don't. But, yeah, those are the options that you have when it comes to just making goat products. Honestly, there are probably other people that are finding more ways to use goat milk to kind of evade the very chemically oriented products that we use today. And hey, if they can do it, that's awesome. I will pay them money. I don't think I can do it though. I mean, 1, I don't have the space for a goat. 2, sometimes I'm very domestically challenged. That's what one of my coworkers said about me when I was trying to learn how to crochet and I was doing it in front of them. It's like, oh no, that's too domestic for you. You don't need to do that. That has just stuck in my head for a really long time. But I would kind of want to know if there were other products that use goat's milk, because it's definitely something that we can ingest. Definitely something that can help clean us. I wonder if there's such a thing as goat's milk ice cream. Gotta check it out. Goat milk ice cream. 'Cause why not? So, what do we have here? Ew. Let's see here. Yes, they do. Oh my gosh. So goat's milk ice cream is a thing. So now I need to go out and find a place that serves goat milk ice cream because, man, I do really like goat's milk, and there's never a time when I do not have a package of goat's milk in my fridge. There's always a package in there because, well, I love goat's milk. But there is going to be so much, if I were to pursue this, there would be so much of obstacles in this. And it's definitely something that you put a lot of sacrifice into it. And I wish I could talk to my previous coworker about how she started her homestead. And just, I know that with the size of our place, the amount of property we have, it's not going to be feasible. But it's something that I can dream about, right? Let's see, what else can we get? What can we use with milk? Goat's milk. Oh, they can make like a gelato. Of course, ice cream for dogs. Gosh, it feels very, I don't want to say it seems, I don't want to say that it seems like it's easy to kind of use and implement it into other products that you use on the daily, but it seems like it's really increasingly becoming a thing. And again, it removes a lot of the chemicals that we typically put on ourselves or ingest on a daily basis. Let's see, goat's milk toothpaste. Let's check that out. Surely there's none of that. If so, then I have no idea what to think of the world. But let's see, toothpaste. And now my internet is acting up, of course. But what do you think? Would goat's milk toothpaste actually taste good? What properties of it would make it, a good toothpaste, for instance? And, I found toothpaste that has goat's milk in it. And overall, it has a good amount of 5-star ratings, but it looks like sometimes it gets solid, and then that means it's completely not usable. but I imagine there are ways to talk about, well, to get around the hardness of the toothpaste. But overall, it seems like it doesn't really have any bad tastes. Like, they add flavoring to it, which, that makes it bearable, because, well, sometimes toothpaste that has no taste is not great, but for me, that's great for me. Nobody likes my toothpaste, and it's just a simple kind, too. But anyway, I'm just happy that I was able to find it before the segment was done, man. Now, I would say that, oh my gosh, my life is complete now that I have found goat's milk toothpaste. But I can't imagine that it's cheap. So, I mean, this is why probably most people, try to start their own homestead. Because, well, they get to make their own stuff, and the internet is a wonderful thing for people because they can look up how to do stuff. And at least there's always going to be at least one person that knows how to do what you want to do. But anyway, we are going to go on our final commercial break. And, well, just going to say that we're going to be talking about the actor of Dwight Schrute from The Office, and that is Rainn Wilson. And he, over this time period, during the pandemic, he has really tried to make a difference, especially for different animal shelters. So, we will be right back after this commercial break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. We were talking about, what were we talking about? Oh, goat's milk products. And you also learned that I don't like flavor in my toothpaste, which not many people know that, but I guess that's great for you guys now if you want to send me toothpaste. But we are going to be talking now about Rainn Wilson, and if you're not familiar with him, he's actually the actor of Dwight Schrute in The Office. And, well, from what I understand, Rainn Wilson is far nicer than Dwight Schrute would ever be. So, I ran into this story, honestly, too little too late, because I would have joined in. But he was having a Zoom call for pets, and pets and their owners, actually. And it was, well, when was it done? April 30th. So, I'm like a month behind, but it was like from 2 o'clock to 2:30 Eastern time. I wonder if he'll actually do this again. But it was basically a way to get people together and do something that he called, well, the name of the event was called Zoomies. So kind of like the Dundies from Dunder Mifflin. But yeah, just being able to plug in with other animal lovers, and they actually had a goal for this. Well, I guess kind of like two purposes. So the first purpose was to have pet owners and their pets kind of like join in, and there were like 900 people in this Zoom meeting, by the way. like pet parents and their pets pretty much. And basically they would kind of talk about how the pandemic is really affecting them, or just kind of commiserating together. Because, well, the pandemic has been a really big thing. It's getting our pets so used to us being around all the time, which is unfortunate because we're going to have to go back to normal, maybe. But, yeah, the initial reason why Rainn Wilson was going to do this was, well, first of all, it was a charity initiative that he was going to call Fresh Start. And that was like a contest, and it would have a contest in it where people would vote for animal shelters in each region of the United States, and the one with the most votes would receive $10,000. There were also extra stuff too about, let's see, some grand prizes for some, and let's see, there were, for the 2 runner-ups, they got like $2,000 to be added on to that. So there's some pretty cool stuff going on here. And just how well, it could have been Rainn Wilson being, at the head of this. But I also kind of think that because he is very well known for Dwight Schrute, I think that really motivated some people to be like, I want to hang out with Dwight. But Rainn Wilson and Dwight Schrute are very different people. But, like, his main goal was that he really wanted people to adopt more animals. Like, we're already having so many shelters that don't have any animals right now because people are fostering them. But who knows what's going to happen, like, after the pandemic is over. Are they still going to want those pets? Well, hopefully. But Wilson really just wanted to make sure that there are more people that actually did want to have more pets. So, of course, he's happy with the people fostering. And also, making adoptions and even donations. And it's pretty impressive that he was able to get so many people. Though, again, it could just be because he is a famous actor and people really liked his character. But I would like to believe that it was a common goal of, having pet parents and pets hang out together on Zoom. I mean, I don't think I've done that yet. I am not at that point of social distancing fatigue. But yeah, I can definitely imagine that being able to talk to other people that aren't in your household or anything like that. It's just, I think that's a really good cause there, actually. So he actually, Rainn Wilson, had his 2 pits and his 2 potbelly pigs with him during this Zoom meeting. And my gosh, he looks like kind of like a bear right now with his beard. But hey, I'm not one to judge. I do weird stuff with my hair. But let's see. Oh wow, I just wanted to let you guys know that the actor had actually rescued 6 pets. And he's really hoping to get animal shelters to become a little bit more educated, and also to have more people that are prospective pet parents to learn as well. Like, how are you supposed to take care of this pet, especially one that is a rescue? What are you supposed to do with this? And it's a great, it shouldn't just be about you. And I always say this, it's not about you, but for you particularly, this could also just be a great relief of stress for you if you adopted or fostered this animal. So again, it goes back to, well, are you going to want this dog still? Or are you going to want this cat still? Or do you want these potbelly pigs still? But yeah, even for the pets too, I would definitely say that the act of being adopted is a real stress relief on them to some extent, because they're still going to have to adjust to, a different environment, different smells, all that kind of stuff. But he really did a great job, like, getting this thing together, especially adapting to the pandemic and its timing. I have to give him a hand on that. And maybe I'm being unfair, but at least he wasn't singing Imagine with all those other celebrities singing, because that didn't do anything. What he actually did really benefited an organization, actually multiple organizations. And I think that's kind of the way that these kind of things should be focused on. Because, well, you can even see inside his house, like, this is essentially my office, what I'm looking at. So, he seems like basically a normal person that isn't an actor, but that's not all who he is. I mean, his dog is adorable. But, aside from, his dog, can we also say that's pretty impressive that 900 people joined one exact Zoom call? Like, for me, I can barely get 2 people on there. What is his magic? What is everyone's magic here? I usually have, like, freezing stuff, freezing frames, and noise problems, all that kind of stuff. And I want to know their secret, because that would make my job so much easier to tolerate. Because, well, I just don't think we have it together, really. But, I definitely would have gone to this had I known about it. You don't report on something like the article that I saw was like basically a month after this event, and I just can't believe it. If I had known, I would have definitely joined this. But whatever, that's okay. At least we get pictures of one of his pit bulls. Oh, Poe, like Poe Dameron. Sorry, nerd stuff just completely coming out here. Like, there's even like yes, this is kind of like voyeurism in a way, but I see like a painting or like a print of a painting that looks very sci-fi like, and gosh, I want to meet Rainn Wilson now. I want to meet his pits. I want to meet if he has cats, I want to meet his cats. I definitely want to meet those pigs, because, I mean, I've only seen them at the state fair, and I always see them, like, ridiculously huge, and it's like a competition, like, how big can your pig get? So, try saying that, like, 5 times fast. But you know what? I kind of think that we need to do more of these Zoom meetings with celebrities that are, running some sort of fundraiser of some kind. That would be great. It would make them seem more human to us, because right now they seem very disconnected from everyone else that is not rich and, famous. So, just kind of saying that I'm shouting it to the back, actually. They will hopefully hear from someone else, probably not me, that they should do a cool fundraiser like this. Well, I don't even think it was a fundraiser. It was just a meetup. Man, Rainn Wilson's awesome. But, I could talk about him all day. I could talk about Dwight and The Office all day, actually. So we're going to stop that. But I really did want to talk more about goats. So that really gets my goat. Sorry, I just had to say that. I really had to say that. But anyway, I want you guys to have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Pets Podcast. And again, it's brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Please, like I always say, please subscribe, please review. And also for cool pet content, just check out our Instagram, our Facebook, and our Twitter accounts, because, well, we would love to have more followers enjoying just pictures of our pets. Like, I think someone even has a lizard that adds to the Instagram account at least. But still, pretty cool. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful night, and thank you so much. Also, I take no responsibility for any surprise goats in people's houses now. All right.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.